Hey trappers, Dale Billingsley here, Billingsley Brand Lures. So folks, what I want to talk to y'all about today is catching coon. And you know, I've been a coon trapper for years. I live in southeast Iowa. That's what I have the majority of here to catch. Now, what I want to talk to you more specifically about today is not only the fur trapping end of it, but also a little bit into the nuisance wildlife end of it. A lot of homesteaders now, which I think is great. You know, the more self-sufficient we can become, the better off we're all going to be. And the less Big Brother knows of what we're doing, the better I like that too. The government doesn't always need to know everything. So I want to talk to you about that because I know a lot of you that are homesteading are raising ducks and raising chickens for egg production as well as meat production too. And a lot of you are also raising meat rabbits. And if you think a coon won't kill a rabbit, you're dead wrong. So kind of want to touch a little bit on some of the other ends of it too, the other aspects of it. So stay with me. We'll get this camera flipped around, we get things set up, and I'll be right back with you. All right, gang, so the first set I want to talk about, and I've showed this in my deadliest raccoon video, or deadliest raccoon set video last year. So if you want to see it again, you can always, and get some more information there, you can always go back and look at it. This is what we call the fish steak. All it is a piece of either 1/2 inch or 3/8 rebar steak with a T welded across it. Now this one happens to have a 16 penny nail welded on it. You can also just extend the rebar on up and weld the T down a little lower. I like at least a 6-inch top sticking out of there to put a piece of fish on. You put a piece of fish out there on the end of it, and you put 2 traps, and I hope they show up. I don't know how well they're going to show up here in the camera. There's 2 number 11s set between the bank and the steak. Now the idea is that the coon, the mink, the muskrat, the otter, the beaver, the fox, the coyote, the bobcat, doesn't matter what it is, I've caught everything in this set, steps off of the bank to reach the fish and hits the traps right there. Now a lot of times you'll catch 2 coon, 1 in each trap on this one steak at this one set, and it happens a lot more often than what you think it does. This set is absolutely deadly when it comes to fur-bearing animals. It can also be used in the summertime. Say you've got raccoon depredating on ducks that are on a fish pond or a small lake or something of that sort. You can sure enough put these sets in and take care of that problem. Now, a word of caution with this set, make sure that it's legal to use exposed bait in your state that you're in. If you're not allowed to use exposed bait, you can always wrap a wad of grass around the top of it to hide it. Or what I do a lot of times is just take a 10-inch paper plate and put over top of it and wire it on there around the top so that the wind doesn't blow it off. And now it's covered, which should make it legal. If it's, depends on what the law reads, whether it cannot be exposed any at all or whether it has to be covered from exposure to soaring birds. So read your state law, read the laws in your state, make sure that you're legal when you're using this. Another set that you can use just the exact same way is a portable pocket. Now this one I didn't put traps on, but you would put the traps exactly the same way as we did on the fish steak. The only thing is you would just slide some fish or, you know, cotton ball, wool, paper towel with some bait lure on it inside of that pipe. And again, the animal has to cross from the bank through the water out to the pipe to get whatever you put in there for bait or lure. And with this way, there's nothing exposed. Everything is concealed. Set's 100% legal in all states. So there's another option for you that works very well, very deadly on whether it's coon, mink, otter, muskrat, beaver, fox, coyotes, bobcats. You can catch anything with this set, same as you can the fish steak. Doesn't quite have the eye appeal the fish steak does, but it still works, still very deadly. Okay, moving right along here. Here's probably the absolute simplest, most foolproof coon set, coon trap that is known to man. and that is the DogProof. Now, they really named them wrong. They should be called dog resistant, not dog proof. There's two different styles of this trap. There's a push only or a pull only trigger, and then there's a push pull trigger. If you use the push pull triggers, you want to be extra careful around domestics, because you will catch cats in these things. And I've been told, now I've never done it, but I've been told that even with the pull only triggers, but the push pull triggers are really bad about it. You will catch a dog every now and then by the tongue. So use some common sense here. And the way you use these things, the way I like to use them anyway, is to set the trap in the middle of a trail that I know the raccoon are using. Let me get my shadow out of there now. The sun decided to come out. You put that trap in the middle of the trail, right smack in the middle of it, in a narrowed down spot in the trail so the coon can't miss it. And then you put a little, and I mean a little cat food, a little fish food, a little dog food. I don't like to fill them clear full. I just want to fill it to the trigger. I'm not there to take him on a date and feed him supper. I'm just there to catch him. That's it. So just put a little bait in there, and then use a little lure or a little commercial type bait to help draw that coon on in there and make him keep working it. Again, though, I want to caution you, these will catch domestics, so you want to be extra careful with them. But if you've got raccoon that are depredating on ducks or chickens or meat rabbits, something of that sort, these things absolutely shine in the summertime. But I will warn you, I will caution you, it doesn't take long for those coon to get wised up to what's going on and what they're doing. And a lot of times you'll come up to that trap and you'll see it still set, pulled out of the ground, and laying there just like that, and all the bait's gone out of it. And what's happening is those coon are pulling that thing out of the ground, dumping your bait out, eating the bait, and then going on. It doesn't take very long for them to catch on to what's going on. I don't like using these things during the fur season at all. I absolutely despise having to use them during the actual fur season. Reason being, I would rather put a foothold trap or a snare or a conibear in that trail and catch everything that's coming down through there. This is what I do for a living in the wintertime. I trap. That's all I do. So I have to take every piece of fur that I can get. But in the summertime, working on depredating coon, and they might be in your sweet corn, it might be eating your chickens, your ducks, your rabbits, whatever it might be, these things really do shine. But like I said, it doesn't take long. They get pretty waspy. They get wised up to them pretty quick. So just a word of caution there. And another trap that we like to use for depredating raccoon, and I do like to use them late in the wintertime too. I'd love to cage trap coon. Especially late in the winter, you go into them old hay barns and up in the mows and old schoolhouses, old houses that are still standing that are full of coon, and you get a bunch of these going, and you can catch a pile of late winter coon in these. Now, through the summertime, early fall, I like to bait them I like to use the big marshmallows. I don't like to use the little ones because mice and rats pack them off out of there so bad. But the big ones, they don't seem to bother. I mean, they'll eat a few of them, but they don't carry them out. So what I do is I'll throw 3 or 4 in the back of the trap, 1 or 2 in the middle of it, and then 1 or 2 out here in front of it, and just let the coon, possum, skunk eat his way in. Very effective. And the good part about this is that, you know, if you do happen to catch a cat, which once in a while you do, a domestic cat, you can just release it. And chances are he won't go back in there again, especially if you pick that cage up and shake the living heck out of it. You rattle his head off the side of it now and once in a while when you're shaking it. That cat won't go back in it generally. Like I said, throw marshmallows in the back of it. A good shot of a good sweet smelling bait or lure in the back of it with the marshmallows. You got a winning combination there. Later on in the season, if you're using them during the fur season, then you want to switch over to meat type bait such as fish, tainted muskrat, tainted meat or mink, something of that sort, and along with a good predator lure or a good gland lure, and you'll catch the heck out of big coon late in the season with these things. They're absolutely phenomenal. The only bad part of it is they do take up a lot of room in the back of the truck, but they don't stack too bad. So, I mean, you can get several in there. All right, another trap that I really like to use is a conibear. Now, you can see this one's set up a little different than most of them. This one has a stabilizer actually mounted right to the trap. You just drill out the rivet holes, and the ends fit right through there. And you can get those stabilizers from Wicking Camp Cage Traps in Hedrick, Iowa. A lot of times they have an ad in the back of the Fur Fish and Game magazine, as well as in, I think, the Trapper magazine. So if you look there, maybe even in Trapper's World, look them up, and you can order these stabilizers right from them. Now, the thing with the conibear, this one's not, it's set, but it's not. I don't have the dog in the trigger. The dog fits, this is the dog, and it fits right here inside the trigger, and then you've got safety hooks here that you have to remove after the trap's been set. The thing of it is, you got to be really careful with these, because anything that these are meant to be used in trails where the coon are walking. And anything that sticks its head in there is tag on the toe, graveyard dead. So you've got to be careful around domestics, such as cats and dogs, because they will dang sure kill them. So you have to be very careful with that. Now you're going to notice, let me see if I can turn this trap for you to see. There's two different notches in the trigger, and there's a reason for that. Number one, it determines how much tension it takes to fire this trap as to which notch you're in. Number two, it also determines how far inside the jaws of the trap the animal is before the trap will fire and go off. So if you're out here on the front trigger or the front notch, it doesn't take much pressure to set that trap off, and your animal's not in there very far when it does it. Stay back in the second notch where the jaw is now, and it takes a little more pressure, and that animal's in there just a little bit farther before that trap fires. That's the notch I always like to be in, but you do some experimenting around, playing, and figure out which works best for you. These are set in the trail just like this, so that they're stood up like this. They're not laid down flat, they're stood up, and that way the animal sticks his head in there and it catches them around the neck and around the body, and it kills them, suffocates them. So, like I said though, just use some caution. Be very smart about what you're doing with them, because they will kill a domestic right now. All right, folks, I know that was kind of a fast little video, but I do think there was quite a bit of information in it for you, and not just for the fur trapper and the nuisance trapper as well, but also for the homesteader too. You know, we've got to kind of look out for each other here, and we're all in this, you know, we're all in this together, whether we want to be or not. Anyway, if you haven't, guys, if you would please hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button for me, and hit that notification bell. It means so much to me. It means so much to YouTube too, because it lets them know that you appreciate this kind of content. Once again, guys, this is Dale Billingsley with another one. Signing out.